we're now going to segue to our next panel, and I want to introduce Miss Andrea Richmond, who is a Spelman graduate, professional esports shoutcaster, and moderator of Secure the Bag Esports panel. She's going to be talking about something that we always double down on in HBCU Heroes, and that is the power of esports, the growing industry, and all the careers that are available within it. So thank you, Andrea, for joining us, and the floor is yours.
First of all, may I say thank you so much for the wonderful words from the previous panel guests before, the encouragement that is needed for whatever professional career you decide to go into. So thank you so much for the introduction, Kwame. But I would love to shout them out as well, because you encouraged me a little bit, gave me a little bit. I've struggled with imposter syndrome myself, but I'd like to introduce myself to you all. My name is Andrea Richmond. I am a Spelman alumna, so I represent HBCU, and I also represent HBCU Heroes on the esports side. I've been, along with Eli the Curry, been a part of hosting several esports events, including for both Madden and NBA 2K. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be a part of wonderful panel talking about careers in the esports industry, as we pull up some of my other wonderful associates also in the esports world. We have Dr. Brandon Kimble. He is from Virginia State University, the assistant professor of sports management and recreation, a coach at all levels, a recipient of the Live to Lead Excellence in Leadership Award, the National Athletic Academic Advisor Scholarship Award as well. Such a qualified guest there. We also have Christopher Turner, a visual artist and a graphic designer as well, an esports consultant, educator, and GM of Southern University and Southern University Lab Schools esports department. Also has a wonderful podcast called the Go Play Esports Podcast. And then another shout out to George Lynch, also joining us on the panel. 12-year NBA career, graduated from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, had won a national championship right there. The Steals leader of that school, coached in several different places, and also including Clark Atlanta University, co-founder of HBCU Heroes. I'm happy to be here with you all today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
No problem, no problem. And I love to start this off. This is an esports panel, but a little bit of icebreaker to bring us all together. This is esports, so we all have a bonding about games. What first got you into the gaming world, into gaming? And we'll start off with let's start to the first person I see, Mr. Christopher Turner.
I have an older brother that's 7 years older than me, so gaming was always a part of my upbringing. I remember the first Atari coming into the house, to the Nintendo, all the way up, to the PlayStations, and it just was embedded. And to be quite frank with you, I grew up in the 80s, in the mid 80s, so at the height of the crack epidemic, and so our neighborhood changed, and so it was one of those tools that my mother used to kind of keep us in the house and keep us at bay and keep us out of trouble. And here we are now, where people are making careers as part of my career, which I didn't first see at that time, but that's definitely how I got into gaming.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit about the how esports kind of seemingly came out of nowhere and became such a powerful thing. Let's go to Dr. Brandon Kimble. Talk a little bit about what first got you into gaming.
Good afternoon. For me, gaming was a alternative to being outside, and playing sports. Baseball and basketball were two of my top choices, along with football. And so on a day that it was either raining, or I was maybe I couldn't get out with my friends, that was a way to still have some enjoyment. So now to see that as being a primary option, has been a little been a little transition for me, and it's taken a little bit getting used to, but it's definitely a great option. And so I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate the career opportunities that it presents students now. So, and I love 2K. I don't get to play as much as I would like. My son kind of hogs the game. So if any of you can put a word in with my son to allow me to get some time on the court, I'd be grateful for that.
Oh, that's a perfect transition. Talking about time on the court, somebody, we talk about 2K virtually. He spent some time actually on the court, several different places. We're going to throw it to Mr. George Lynch. Talk a little bit about how you got into gaming.
Well, I kind of got into gaming, of course, playing the game, uh, being really involved in when the first NBA 2K game came out, I was actually playing in Vancouver, and they needed an athlete to kind of do some of the movements. They put the whole black suit on me with the little balls. And if you watch the original 2K game, that's a lot of my body movements and the way I ran up the court. It was kind of the beginning of, using the actual athlete's movement and likeness in the game. And being an NBA player, a part of our licensing comes from 2K. So the more games that people buy, the more games they generate. As far as NBA, I like to say that I still receive a check from that. So I'm very excited about 2K. I don't play the game as much because when I started out playing Atari, it was only 3 buttons. Now I think those consoles have about 9 to 10 buttons, and it's too many for me to keep up with. But I have young children who play esports. Being involved at Clark, my co-founder and I, Tracy Pennywell, we tried to figure out how can we get esports into the HBCUs. So we started, raising funds to help HBCUs with their esports programs. A lot of the PWIs get full scholarships, a lot of money. So they're taking a lot of our brightest and smartest STEM students to go to their schools, and we would like to keep those bright and smart students at HBCUs. And that's kind of how I got involved.
Yeah, no, not only, I talked about being into gaming, like into playing games. He was actually in the game themselves. So that's really interesting to see. And to hear that you were part of the original, animation style. That's really cool and fascinating here. But you talked a little bit about, at the university side, the disparity between HBCUs. And, Christopher talked a little bit about the money, the access into it. I believe when we were growing up, it was a common misnomer, or at the time, I guess it was reality, that the video game industry wasn't seen as a viable career path. I'm sure we've all gotten quips from our mom or our parental figures. Hey, what are you going to do with those games? You're not going to do anything with those games. Go ahead and do something else. However, now it's becoming a grand industry. Explain your interest in the field, why you think it's important for students of HBCUs to be involved in these spaces. And I'll throw it to Dr. Brandon Kimble for that.
Well, if I may, I want to kind of share a little bit about what we're doing at Virginia State to kind of paint that picture. Mm-hmm. Last spring, as the world stopped, and we were trying to figure out what are we going to do next. Professional development is a major part of what we do at Virginia State University in our sport management program. And I saw the NBA, taking a stab at the players participating in a 2K tournament. And so we look to do kind of duplicate that initiative with our students. And so a part of that, we didn't just want them to participate as players. We wanted them to, understand what it would take to run a tournament, and so we started looking at, all right, so who's our gamers on campus, and so we engage with them, and of course their mindset, this is gaming, but we want them to also understand that there are career opportunities. And I don't want to jump ahead, but and so we started to, explore that, and that was a major part of a tournament that we put together. It was a obviously there was playing, but we brought in esport athletes. We brought in folks that was working around esports so that they could get the necessary exposure to opportunities, outside of the game, the same way that you would if you were talking to a traditional basketball or football or baseball, soccer, whatever the sport of choice is. And so I definitely believe that students should consider those and look at what's out there, and then get involved. See if someone is interested in and you're not a gamer yourself. See if you can develop graphics or marketing, sales, all of the above. So that's kind of and I'll go a little bit deeper once we move along. But that's kind of my take on it.
Oh, wait, no, giving us a little bit of a teaser there, but wait, there's more, and we'll hear more shortly after we talk to Christopher about his insights about why it's important for students of HBCUs to be involved in this growing esports industry.
I think after talking to the major developers and the brands that are in the space, they definitely want African Americans and people from HBCUs to be a part of their business structure. And I think for years, the bridge wasn't there as far as the relationship. And so I think with the pandemic and the social injustice things that happened during the pandemic, kind of opened up that conversation and realized that we had some feasible students and certified and trained students that they can use. And so even in my day-to-day, I don't see us in the meetings. And so I think it's real important. I know the majority of our students game. I'm an avid gamer. I know that's where you are. The connection piece is like what Dr. Brandon said, is connecting those career and pathway opportunities. And so we've done similar things that he's done here at Southern, and just building that culture, but forming the 4 pillars that we focus on is community, careers, health and wellness, and using those pillars to advocate and push the movement forward. And so it's really important, because they're looking, this industry is looking for people with a certain skill set. Every company is going to be a little different, but if you have a love for gaming, even if you don't, like the doctor said, you can be a coder, you can be a streamer, you can do shoutcasting like Andrea does, probably more than once a week, and make a living, and make a feasible living. I'm talking 6 figures or better. And I know, one of George's son is in the industry, and so we have some stake in the industry, but it's not what I want to see and know that we're capable of being. And so it's time for us to stop being the biggest consumers and be the biggest creators and innovators in the space.
Yeah, it's time for us indeed. And boy, I would love to be getting that figure. Not quite yet, not quite yet, but soon. But again, we're not quite in this space. And I think George talked about this a little bit, touched on it, about PWIs having all these resources and all of us not. Let's talk a little bit about, George, your perspective on why it's important for HBCU students to be involved in this space.
Well, not only playing the games, but like you said, it's the largest gap as far as growth and job opportunities. I talked to a guy who works with the government, and they're trying to get HBCUs to be a certified place where you can go and get certified to be a cyberspace security opportunity job-wise. And again, those career paths are 6 figures. The opportunity in cyberspace, cybersecurity, you can work for banks, you can work for corporations. Now with all the hacking going on and the government needing people to prevent, cybersecurity fraud, those are great opportunities for people of our generation and our color to change the trajectory of their family's path. If you want a job that can, you can leave something for your children, you can leave something for generations to come. The STEM in education is the most important. I talk to my youngest boy, my son, all the time about setting his own YouTube page, doing coding. I had an opportunity to go to Dr. Lonnie Johnson's uh, uh, robotics there in Atlanta, and to see those young kids as early as 5 and 6 years old building robots, stimulating their minds to be that next scientist, that next robotics engineer. Those are the career paths that I think our children should pursue.
And I love the fact, and you guys are doing a great job. You're doing the job for me with the transitions. You talked a little bit about the career opportunities. I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Brandon here to talk about those opportunities that you kind of teased with us earlier, the opportunities in the esports space and beyond around this ecosystem that's obviously huge.
Absolutely. A few things that I noticed as you know we've become a little bit more involved in esports. First of all, we had to educate ourselves, and so and really kind of you know look at what was around esports. And one of the things that I've had our students to really take a hard look at is digital marketing. Because you just take the esports, by itself. Again, it may only attract a certain type of person, but with digital marketing, then it becomes more inclusive. And so that's an area that I believe our students and our young people can really look at as a viable option, because there's so many different layers to digital marketing. And it really goes hand in hand with esports, as I just suggested. And the analytics, really looking at the numbers that support and really guide us in our decisions that we make, and all of those tie into job opportunities. The numbers are telling us this or telling us that, and that's a clear indicator of the directions that we should go in. And so I just recommend to any student that is looking to be in sports in general. I've talked to people that said that they have moved some of their investments out of traditional sports and moved them into esports. And I truly believe it's, due to some of the things that go with it, the sponsorships, the branding, just to name a few. And, their job opportunities, talent evaluators, they're, handling video editing, graphics. It's just so many different opportunities that are presented for those that that educate themselves and are hungry and are willing to do the things that maybe someone isn't willing to do.
Yes, and I'd like to thank every single person on this panel too. I am a person of an HBCU who got this opportunity in part due to people like you all. I'm a shoutcaster, professional shoutcaster for Pharaoh's Conclave, for HBCU Heroes, for HBCU Esports Alliance. And, I got this opportunity at first, working locally at tournaments and then building my way up into this position. And if it were not for opportunities in this HBCU space, our camaraderie, our support of each other, that would not be able to happen. So again, shout out to all the opportunities. There are plenty: graphics, coding, announcing, commissionership, because all of you all are sort of kind of at commissioners in itself. There's plenty of opportunities in the HBCU world. Now, a lot of these people, that are watching this are trying to, become in this esports industry, or, in whatever career path that they may choose. However, it's always about the beginning stories that mean a lot, because if you hear about someone's journey, there are many pitfalls, there are many high points, but through that, you're able to develop a great career. It's earned, it's not given. Talk a little bit about your journey through the path and how you got to this exact point, and important things that you've learned along the way. I'm going to throw it to George here to start us off real quick.
Well, my experiences was, came from being a player, uh, and then being a part of the game. And then you have people say, "Oh man, you see the new 2K, you in it." As a matter of fact, I'm in the classic Sixers. It tells you a little bit how old I am, but being a part of that and seeing every Christmas or every birthday, I was spending money getting my son the latest and greatest new game, and then you know coming along and being a coach and seeing that the opportunities that esports was providing, not a lot of times for people of color. And I was like, well, why aren't we taking advantage of those opportunities? And then as I came across more people who was in the esports and gaming, there were opportunities for us. We just didn't know how and where to go to get involved. If you look at who's behind the games, it's people of color. They behind the games, spending a lot of time, in front of those games, but they're not creating the games. They're not, like you said, being behind the digital and the marketing. I have a son that's in marketing, and that's what his degree was at SMU. And now he's trying to have the curriculum of esports in elementary schools. So we're trying to get the kids there. It's coming along. It's probably not coming along fast enough, but the opportunities are there. You just have to do your research and studies and figure out where to go and network.
Yes, important. Networking is super important. I would not have nearly the career opportunities I had if it were not for networking. I'm going to throw it to Chris here. Talk a little bit about, that pathway, how you got to the seat that you are, being a commissioner of, Southern University's esports league.
Um, I'm gonna kind of sum this up really, really quickly because it's a long story. But um, been an educator for probably the last 9 years, um, and got to the lab school at Southern University, which is the pre-K through 12th grade school. Started the program from nothing, no budget. We had one PlayStation, one television. Launched the first esports lab within the state of Louisiana, and about to launch Southern University's room as well, and started those programs and were real successful, putting the students first, putting myself last, won championships and scholarships for students, and took advantage of opportunities like HBCU Heroes. And thank you guys for setting up those opportunities for my students. And, one thing led to another. And I like to sum it up. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm real active. I think a lot of HBCUs are getting into the space because esports is a buzzword, and you want to make sure that you're setting up your program the right way. There's a holistic approach, that you're putting students first, and it's not all about the competition and winning those trophies. You definitely want to reach the kids where they are, but you want to have their accessibility and opportunity for them too. And that's pretty much what I have to say at the moment.
Accessibility is super important, definitely, for sure. Dr. Brandon, please talk a little bit about, your journey and your path to where you are.
Um, well, I believe someone mentioned earlier about standing on the shoulders of giants. And so where I am and where the program is due to the faculty that came before me. I have a mentor by the name of Dr. Leon Bay, who, really instilled the things in me, as well as students and alums that are out there now, to be accountable. And we have a mantra: get ready, stay ready, which means always be prepared for the unexpected. And so, and I'm always giving him his flowers while he can still smell them, but he always tosses it back to the assistance of others. And so I am here because of someone praying for me, and because someone, gave me a hand and brought me across the bridge. And so I'm just thankful for people like Tracy and George and the entire HBCU Heroes team that are going to afford and have afforded many students these opportunities to be successful in their careers, no matter if they're going to esports or another direction. So, that's that. Hopefully, that sums up um, my response. But so thank you.
Oh, and thank you so much. As we wrapped up our time here, we have just one quick question about what areas should students look for to study for if they're interested in gaming careers. I know I started off, I was a computer scientist, and through the computer science program, I actually got connected with Professor Chiquita Thomas, who actually, was the founder of Pharaoh's Conclave. And that's how I started my journey. But as I'm aware, with you, Christopher, and you, Brandon, you guys are starting things in your schools as well when it pertains to esports. So talk a little bit about that and what students should look for while they're studying.
Well, due to my conversations these past 10 months with industry, definitely engineers, computer scientists are the big ask. Like almost all the companies that we talk to and we partner with and try to build relationships with, they're wanting coders and engineers, to be quite frank with you. But the ecosystem is so big, like Dr. Brandon mentioned earlier. If you want to get into space, it's pretty much whatever degree you want to get into, even up to a law degree. It's a lot of lawyers that's needed in the space. And then I would look at programs that have micro credentials, because the esports curriculum is still being developed. And so you get a degree in something like engineering, but will it have cater to pathway to esports? I don't necessarily think so. And so it's all about being active, going to search for those internships at those particular companies that you would want to work for during the summertime is really important as well. This space is not brand new, but it's on the upcline to the point where all you have to do is get active, plug in, and go, and you'll be successful.
Dr. Brandon, you have any words?
Um, you know, just again, as Mr. Turner just mentioned, there is so many different inroads to get involved in esports. So, pretty much any area in which you're studying or have interest or have a passion for, you pretty much can probably connect it to esports. A short, brief story: my father was in rehab several years ago, and a part of his rehabilitation was using a Wii. So, there's so many different ways that you can connect. Just find your passion, find what you are truly interested in, educate yourself, stay humble, and get a mentor. That is so important, is to have a mentor and surround yourself with the right people. And I'll throw out a shameless plug right now, along with HBCU Heroes being a big champion of ours. Also, NASCAR, Richmond Raceway, to be specific, has provided a lot of assistance for our students. And right now, we actually have the first diversity eNASCAR intern and it's from Virginia State University. So just look at what's out there, and again, align it with your passion, and it will lead you to the purse or securing the bag.
Yes, go out and find it. I know someone personally, firsthand, who just emailed all the esports companies they could find, and then they ended up getting the opportunity with Pharaoh's Conclave as a social media manager through that. We're gonna wrap it up with Mr. George. So please talk about, how, what, I'm sorry, I apologize. If someone is interested in gaming, what opportunities, what pathway should they look into to study in order to get there? You're a meat.
Anyone who's interested in esports always reach out to us through social media, LinkedIn, IG, Facebook. We're on all of the social media pages, and we always connected to either the HBCUs that's trying to start esports program, so we can help you connect the dots and find out what avenue is best. Like I said, my son was a marketing major, and he works for a company in Dallas called Exposure, and he's basically using his major of marketing, selling the curriculum to law schools. So, like the rest of the panelists said, there's different avenues. Whatever your love is, your passion, pursue that and learn as much as you can. And there's always a new video game coming out, whether it's war games, sport games, creative game, digital. There's always apps, and all those things lead to esports and digital, in that digital space. So follow your pursuit and dreams, and if it's esports, reach out, make the connection, because there's a big space out there. Everyone in the world is playing esports games at some capacity, and the opportunities are there.
Yes, the opportunities are there. If you find it, go ahead and find HBCU Heroes on LinkedIn. Go ahead and network that way. You can find all the panelists there also on LinkedIn as well. I would like to thank each and every single one of you. Again, Christopher Turner, Dr. Brandon Kimble, and George Lynch for this wonderful panel. I appreciate it so much. And we're going to throw the panel to the next panelist coming up in this journey. Thank you so much, HBCU Heroes, for helping out as I wrap up. Oh, here we go. It's Miss Tracy. How you doing, Miss Tracy?
Hey, girl. Thank you so much for always coming to our aid. We love having you on. You are family. You have not only hosted our esports tournaments, you've given us advice, helping us out with, mentoring students and all kinds of things. So we just can't help we can't, our hearts are full. Thank you. You did a great job. And thank you for Chris Turner. Chris and I, we got that love for each other that, like, I'll call Chris at 3 a.m. and be like, Chris, I got a problem. I got to figure out this esports tournament. And he is always there for our aid too. And Chris, we have a surprise for you, because we have Leasia Johnson, who is on, I think she couldn't get her video to work, but she had a quick question, and then we'll move on to the next panel. Leasia, are you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here.
Go ahead. You had a question for Chris. So you got, he's, I know you work in the same department under Chris as a student, right? You're the student esports assistant. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my question for Coach Turner is, what advice would you give to an HBCU looking to start an esports program?
I would start off surveying the students. Is as much as their program that it's the schools. Get them active, get them involved, and build a program together. Because I tell my students all the time, I'm building this program for it to be one of the biggest student org on campus. I know it will survive and train my successor. And knowing that my successor will come someday. I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper for the rest of my life. So, just bringing in that sustainability, letting it be organic growth, and really bringing in the culture of the school, and you should be accessible. I believe in student-centered programs where we put students first, and we bring in partners and advisors and mentors of such, to push them forward.
Chris, you did it again. Thank you so much. We appreciate
you.
you. You know, I'll probably be calling you tomorrow. So
Yeah.
you know how we do.
There you go.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Brandon Kimble, you know, my heart is full as well with you, because same thing, like we partners like you all, being here with us today to give this knowledge and insight is fantastic. And as we all build together and grow together, I just wanted to personally thank you all from George and I and everybody at HBCU Heroes for participating.